The opinions expressed on the Custody Queen Show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal, professional legal advice. The persons discussed are fictional and not based on actual clients.
Thought it was love, had kids in between. You can count on us, we're the Custody Queens. Yeah, you can count on us, we're the Custody Queens.
Good morning, Go Country. I'm Sam McBride. I'm here with Kristen Holstrom, and we have a special guest, Jenniger Seguancia.
Woo woo!
Hi, Jen.
Hello.
I was a little nervous before we started that I would mispronounce her last name, but I did a good job. All right, Jennifer has a Master of Science in Nursing and is a certified family nurse practitioner as well as the owner of Slender Me. Jennifer is here with us today and ready to share her valuable insights and experiences on all things health, wellness, and beauty. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, and I am a huge fan of Jennifer.
We're both Jen fans.
Yes, and it is like, I know the name can, maybe make someone believe that it's just about weight loss. It is so much more than that. We'll get into everything, but it's like Candyland for like an adult woman. Like it is, I wish I could go there every day. It just puts me in such a good mood and I feel so great walking out. It's like I can conquer the world. But before we get into that, let's make Jen, let's break her in here and let's do the CQ talk box. So what these are just questions. It's starters. They can be done with family, friends, out with your girlfriends, and they're age-appropriate questions, but it just kind of allows you to really connect with people and ask questions that you may not necessarily ask sitting down having margaritas. But okay, Jen, what is the most recent book or movie that you enjoyed, and what did you like about it?
I don't really go to the movies very often.
Same.
And so it was Despicable Me 4.
Despicable Me 4? Okay.
Yeah,
It was a great movie.
I brought my kids because I want to go see Reagan. That's the one I want to see. But my husband says he's going to take me, so I'm banking on it for this next week.
I think I've only seen like 2 movies in a theater in like the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Well, it's so ridiculously expensive now to take a family of 5.
Oh, yeah, but it's so worth it, especially if you get the ones that have the relaxed seating. I fell asleep in the movies.
Yeah.
They had so much
The
fun.
Cinepolis in Fashion Island, you literally press the button and they come out with wine, dessert. I think I got the surf and turf there one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's worth it. I mean, especially if you don't do it every week, but the kids were so excited.
I'm just imagining you ordering the whole menu at the...
Oh, for sure. It was me and Rye, and I think I walked out and my bill was like $300.
No, I know is that place in Fashion Island?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been there and I love it, but I was just actually thinking like I had a user error situation where I couldn't figure out how to turn the little light on. So I ordered a salad and I couldn't literally figure out how to eat it because it was so dark. It's just brutal. And then I was like kicking myself, like who orders a salad at the movies? You need a popcorn and pizza. Like,
oh, I got a steak, girl.
Yeah, well. Anyways, it is a good theater.
They do have really good dessert there too.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good time. I don't even know the last movie I saw in a movie theater. It's been so long ago. But the best show, so I am super into documentaries. I love them on Netflix, Hulu, Prime. It's kind of how I go to bed. When I'm doing my makeup and I have some time, I'll have one playing in the background. And I don't know if this is the last one that I saw, but the Beckham documentary was so incredibly done. And I think it's on Hulu, and it was like a 3 or 4 part series. But it was incredible. A great watch. Talks about, him kind of as like a prodigy child, like at such a young age.
Wow.
And then it goes all the way through, the fame that him and Victoria from Spice Girls experienced. They got married in their early 20s. And, the allegations of adultery, and it really explores their relationship and how intense it got. And then it talks about some normal, marriage problems that maybe someone who travels a lot with work. He went to multiple teams, and so he would come home, and at this point they have 4 kids. Oh, by the way, we're moving to Spain. 6 months later, we're moving to, London, and I'm just making up places. But she was like, okay, we have 3 or 4 kids in private schools. We just got settled. We just bought a house. Like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a penalty kick, and I'm going to butcher the facts, but I think it was at a World Cup that he missed, or he got a red card. And he was getting like death threats in the mail. People were sending him bullets. Like, that's how serious him getting that red card and getting kicked out of the game was to these people they ended up losing. But it's a very, very, very good show. So it and their relationship is just so damn cute. And they both have evolved as humans and as a couple together. And that's what I loved about it. Sam, what about you?
I'm going to go with Crazy Chimp.
I knew it was going to be about an animal.
No, so everyone obviously remembers Tiger King, right?
I never watched it, but I remember the craze during COVID, right?
Well, wow, if you've never watched it.
I've never watched it.
But anyways, the producer of Tiger King is also doing this.
And what's the name?
Crazy Chimp. It's a 4-part series. And it's crazy. I actually watched it with my really good friend, and the only thing we would just turn to each other and just say wild. There's no other words for it. It's great. You should watch it.
Well, now you're going to have me watch
4
it.
parts.
It's not like that cat show you made me watch, right? Like that really bad.
Meerkat Manor? You're still...
Oh,
That's a great
Meerkat
show.
Manor.
That was the original reality series for meerkats. Yeah, you should watch it, though.
And then what was your other one?
What?
Oh, that was Bounty.
Dog the Bounty Hunter?
Yeah, okay. That wasn't Dog. That was actually, his name was Dog.
I know, Jen. I know. Kristen's always teasing me.
I knew it was going to be about an animal. I knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's get into it. All things beauty. How I met Jen is I had just had my 3rd baby, and I was dealing with a little bit of postpartum, and I think it was probably like 4 months out. And I was having a much harder time losing the weight this time with just retaining water. And I remember I was still nursing, and I walked in to get Botox. And I was just gonna, not tell the doctor I was doing Botox, and I was gonna go in there and just get it done. Because I needed something for me. I was really struggling, and I needed something for me. And she asked me, and then I couldn't lie. I was like, yes. And I just started crying, I think. And she was like, okay, we can't do this, and explaining it to me why. And then I said, okay, well, what can we do? I'm here. I have a sitter. Like, what can we do? And so that was how Jen and I met. And that was almost 5 years ago. I know, it's gone by. And now I have my mother-in-law going and pretty much everybody at our office. And it's been such a fun journey with Jen because she is so good at what she does.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And she's located in Corona and
Scottsdale.
Also Scottsdale. Beautiful office, wonderful, wonderful staff. I've had nothing but such a great experience every time I go in there. You feel so comfortable. You leave feeling like $1 million. And really, I know that, there's a bunch of different places out there. Everyone kind of probably has their own Botox place and things like that. But this is truly, truly a rare gem. This is not just a place that you go to get Botox. This is a place where you can go and really get a consult and feel the best that you want to feel.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you see a special on Instagram or, if it's too good to be true, it often is.
Right.
Just keep that in mind. I actually have a lot, like my mother-in-law drives from Garden Grove, and she religiously goes to Jen. Little shout out to Linda. She's probably listening. But yeah, I have people that will drive from anywhere because once you go to Jen once, you're like, okay, I'm hooked. What else can we do? But she also doesn't give in to my craziness. So I'll go and I'll say, let's do this, this, and this. And she's like, no. Because I can get a little dramatic, or I can, see something on Instagram and I'm like, oh, I want a nose like that. And then she's like, you already have that. Like, we don't need to do anything. And
Which is important. You need someone to be able to tell you no, too.
For sure.
Right? That's part of it.
People get addicted.
Yeah.
I was like that housewife in Miami, Lisa. I always thought she was beautiful the first few seasons, and then she kind of went a little overboard with the filler, and then she ended up getting a bunch of it removed. And she's still a beautiful, beautiful woman, but it hadn't been on. It was Miami. It hadn't been on for like 4 years, and then you're like, whoa. Yeah, I was like, she looked better before, but. So that's that. What do we want to start with?
So what made you get into this industry?
Short story or long story?
Long story.
Medium.
Yeah.
Medium?
There you go. Medium story.
Well, I was an ICU, ER, and labor and delivery nurse for like 20 years, and wasn't spending quality time with my kids. I was working a lot, and so I was doing some registry work, going to different hospitals, kind of getting different experiences, and the registry was not treating the nurses well. So I'm like, I can do better than this. I can kind of stand up for nurses. You know, nurses they work hard, and they need their protection. And sometimes agencies, they're all about the money and they're not about the nurse. And so I started my own nursing registry and was working day shift instead of, 12-hour night shifts, being away from my family. So I did that. I think I opened that in like 2005. Many years later, a friend of mine was like, well, I want to open a weight loss clinic. She was actually struggling with weight loss, and she's all, and my friend was telling me about you. Like, I knew this person for a long time before, and she's like, and we thought of you. Can you help me? And I'm like, I missed patient care so much at that point. I'd love to. I'm like, okay, so I'll get it started, do all the back end stuff on it, kind of help you out on the front end, and we'll go from there. Well, that didn't work out that way. I was basically working up front and seeing patients the whole time, which I loved.
Right.
And so I knew though from the beginning, I'm like, when you are losing weight, you're losing fat, which means your face is falling, and people don't want it. They kind of sometimes don't want to lose weight because of that. You've heard of Ozempic face. It's not Ozempic face, people, okay? It's weight loss.
Right.
And so you have to replace that. And so I'm like, I want to incorporate all of that. The nurse practitioner that I opened the business with also is a OBGYN nurse practitioner. And so she actually taught me all about the hormones. And I'm like, this is holistic. We can treat what's going on the inside, get people, ideally at their weight, have them feeling good, and then keep up their beauty at the same time. It's all integrated. You can't really do one without the other, because then you start having issues with self-esteem.
Well, and that's what's so incredible about your business is that you can kind of create a plan. And so you can lose weight, start feeling good, and kind of get that comprehensive thing instead of going to 5 different places to try to figure it out.
It's the emotional aspect of all of it that is honestly the key.
Yeah, and if you don't even need to lose weight, or you're at a place where you feel good, there's 30 other different treatments that Jen offers. Everything from filler to Botox to Morpheus, and I mean, we'll go through all the ones that Sam and I have gotten to be the guinea pigs on a lot of these, and I mean, even just the resurfacing.
Morpheus was incredible.
Yes, that
Morpheus machine, it's great.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I fell asleep during the first session. And Sam was like, if you fell asleep during that, you have issues.
Yeah, Kristen's not wired up right, totally, but you just have a high pain tolerance, I guess.
Well, I think I was like, my phone's off, because you can't, look at your phone while you're doing it, and I don't have any kids, so I'm going to, take full advantage
A little bit of
this.
Ativan, a little bit of nitrous can help.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I remember I lost the Ativan, remember? I picked it up from the pharmacy, and it was just one pill. And I didn't know what it was, so Jen's like, we can do the nitrous. Mm-hmm. And that was funny. It was very relaxing, and I just enjoyed the, kind of prickling of the face.
It's worth it.
That's absolutely, it's beyond worth it.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the hormones first, because that is something that's super near and dear to my heart. And I mentioned just a few minutes ago that after I'd had my third kid, I turned 40 shortly thereafter, and I was very much struggling. I had bouts of depression over the years, and I'm very open about talking to a therapist and seeking solutions. And I'm very aware of kind of what's going on. But at this time in my life, I felt like I was losing control. I wasn't sleeping. I was very, very, very emotional, which being that emotional is kind of a red flag for me because that's not how I am all the time. And, it was COVID was happening. The shutdown was happening. I had just had my third baby. I was experiencing some postpartum, but it went on for probably about 6 to 8 months. And I remember doing some research of what my options were on Google, and somehow I'd ended up on Jen's page. And I did a bunch of research about bioidentical hormone replacement, and I had called Jen, and she set me up to come in. We did my labs, and I think you said something like, I don't know how you've been living like this, because I was so unbalanced. And I said, what was key when you knew that I had probably something that wasn't right? I had produced way more estrogen than most women should produce, or the average. And it was estrogen, and then I was lacking something else. And so I was very, very emotional. And I said to her, my husband thinks I'm crazy. And she said that phrase is very common with women that are going through some maybe unbalancing of hormones.
Estrogen dominance.
Yes, estrogen dominance. And that's why I was crying every day. I almost felt like a 4-year-old. Like somebody would just say, can you put your shoes away? I don't want them on the stairs. And I would start crying. Like, why are you being so mean to me? Like, why are you talking to me like that? And my husband was like, what is wrong with you? Which you don't say to a woman that's going through.
I don't think that one went well.
Yes, it didn't go well. But yeah, I started hormone replacement therapy, I believe it was 2021, so we're going on 3 years. And for anyone listening, it is life-changing. I cannot preach this enough. I would say that probably most women need to see someone about this to make sure that their levels are good. But I cannot explain enough of how much it changed my life.
Right.
Like, I didn't realize I was struggling that bad.
It's sad,
until
huh?
you're on the other side of it.
A lot of women suffer for a very long period of time and are quite honestly in denial.
Right.
Perimenopause starts mid-30s.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you're menopausal. You're perimenopause. So the first thing that falls is your progesterone. And progesterone's your feel-good hormone. It's what keeps you sane, what helps you sleep at night, what keeps you from getting over-emotional. And we start to lose testosterone. People only equate testosterone with men. That's terrible. We all have the same hormones, men and women, but women have higher levels of estrogen and progesterone and lower levels of testosterone, where it's quite the reverse for men. Women are always overlooked with this.
Right.
So what do we replace? Progesterone, testosterone, voila. It's really not rocket science. I'd love to say it is, but it really isn't. It's just knowing where you're at in the life process and replacing those hormones you're missing. And it's life-changing, but people are ashamed to talk about it, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I don't understand that. I mean, I'm pretty open. I'm kind of an open book, and Sam, you're very open as well. So, but it's life. It's science. It's happening to all of us at some point. I think, I was kind of like, I'm 40, I'm done having kids, whatever the next step is, let's go, But when I was in this place, and so many doctors want to say it's depression, and I was like, okay, it might be, but let's explore other options. I knew myself pretty well, and I felt like it was something more than that. And my sleep, if you listen to the show enough for 4 years, you know that I don't sleep a whole lot. But the last year and a half, I would say at least half the year is 6 hours a night, which is very, very good for me. At some point, I had a doctor tell me, you only need about 4 hours. And I was like, okay, how many kids do you have? No, that's operating on 4 hours night after night is a recipe for a freaking disaster. but that was literally the solution that I was getting after doing blood work. It was like, okay, really, science says you only need 4 hours.
Well, because you fell in those normal parameters, right? Those aren't normal. If you look at these labs, what they're doing is they give you an average level of the person that's getting their labs drawn. So if you take 100 people that are all having the same complaint of your same symptom, then you're going to get this low normal. That's not normal. Yeah. And so you have to base it off of not just the labs as well, but symptoms and the lab findings, and replace it. It's really simple, and it is life-changing. It can totally turn your whole view on things around, give you energy, your body changes, you're preventing a lot of issues that people in their 30s and 40s start to deal with. Well, you don't need to do that.
Yeah. And Jen, you just said something that I have a question about. So if someone is looking at your labs, like say you go to the doctor and you get your labs done, they're not necessarily looking to fix your hormones at that time, right? So they might just be telling you that, hey, your labs are coming back normal, and that's not necessarily accurate. And so I think people sometimes don't understand that.
No, and
for someone that's not in the medical field or community, for years and years and years, I'm going to the doctor and they're like, well, yeah, you're normal. And it's like, eventually I found out, well, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I didn't find that out from just my regular lab. So it is important to really consider having somebody look at your labs with the eye and mind of hormone treatment.
Correct.
100%.
I'm treating 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
That have maybe PCOS. Mm-hmm. And you can prevent problems with pregnancy later on if you're treating it early.
And that was how I like Sam said, I had my blood work done so many times. But the only reason I knew that I had low progesterone was from being pregnant. And I had gone through a couple miscarriages, and we were trying to get to the root of it. And at some point that was brought up to me. But all the other times when I got my blood work, it was just, yep, everything looks fine. And it wasn't until Jen did like a full panel of all of my hormones that we really started diving in. And I look back at that time of my life, and I don't want to, discredit my whole journey. I saw a therapist. I used all my tools in my toolbox because I knew that I was dealing with things that were not just average or normal. But I also knew myself, and I knew that I was in a dark place. And I think I wasn't enjoying the moments of having a newborn because I was dealing with so many other internal issues and mental issues that I didn't want to miss out on those years and look back and say, okay, you were frustrated with you were retaining water, you weren't sleeping, you were very emotional, that you want to look back and remember how special that period was. And I knew I was done at that point. So each day that goes by, you're like, this is it for me. But I really can say with Jen's help, I really kind of, and other professionals that I worked with to, get back to my normal self, that it was a huge relief to me to be able to go back in. I was like, my husband doesn't think I'm crazy anymore. Well, at least 4 days a week.
Did he retract his statement?
No, it's funny. It was after a few months, and he was like, dude, it was like a flip of a switch. And my husband doesn't necessarily observe the obvious. I mean, I think I came back home with black hair one day, and it was like, something might be off,
Yeah.
Or one time I had my lips done, and, you get the dental block, and you're all numb. And so I was all swollen, and I can't talk. I sounded like Daisy Duck. And I don't necessarily want to him to know that that's where I was all day. Not because I care, but he would be like, well, why'd you get that done? You don't need it. You look great. And I was like mumbling. And he was just kind of like, okay, cool. He had no clue. But he even said, he goes, you're like a completely different person. It was like a flip of a switch. And I'm like, well, it wasn't really a flip of a switch. It took a few months. But yes, I feel like a different person.
So what is the process exactly?
Well, first I do a full intake and make sure there's no contraindications. There are some people that I won't treat just because they're a little too high risk. But symptomology is very important, and looking at where they're at in their life cycle, right? That gives us huge clues. And then we do lab draws to kind of verify. I want to verify my findings. I'm already going to diagnose you based off symptoms and where you're at. But I draw the labs it's a verification.
Right.
And if I'm off, which is not usually happening, but if I am, I can make some tweaks and adjustments. is. And so then we come up with a plan together on how we're going to fix it, how we're going to replace it. There's different options, and move forward. And then I follow them very closely. There's a lot of places out there that are kind of popping up that they're like, we do BHRT, and they throw a pellet in you and come back when you need another one. That's not how I work. I need to follow you and make sure our labs are coming back normal. You're doing well, make any adjustments we need to make. And I don't just treat that. If there's other issues that I find in my lab findings, I'm going to treat that too, naturally. I'm not treating with statins. I'm treating with holistic supplements and trying to get people to be as healthy as possible. Like I said, it's not just, it's the whole holistic aspect of emotions, findings, and feelings.
Yeah, if you're looking for a quick fix, I'm getting an Instagram ad and I'm going to go get this, and I don't have to do follow-up. That is a completely different process. I don't recommend that because they're not invested. You want someone, like when you're hiring an attorney, we're on this journey together. I want someone that's invested and wants to make sure that I'm not going to go the other way. Yeah, and that what you're getting, because they do, Jen does inject the pellets. You explain the process because I don't want to butcher it.
No, it's okay. It's basically, for lack of a proper medical term, so you understand, upper buttocks area. It's a subcutaneous pellet placement. So I do a little numbing. I make a very tiny incision and place the pellets subcutaneously, and then put a little dressing on top. You take it off in 72 hours and you're good to go from 4 to 6 months with those pellets. They just slowly release as your body needs them.
But based on your labs are what dictate
correct,
what goes
on the
in those
dosage.
pellets. So what I get would be very, very different than what the person next to me gets, because I might produce something that they don't have enough of, too much. So that what goes into those pellets, the recipe is very unique and customized to what your lab work says. And, the 4 to 6 months, the first couple times you have to really gauge, and I would have to really keep track of how I was feeling, how my sleep was, how my emotions were. And I think we both knew that I wasn't going to make it 6 months. Your stress level might have something to do with it. And I said, okay, I'm going to be much closer to the 3 to 4 months. And we monitor it. I think we would do labs like once a month to see where I'm at. But I got to the point where I think we were like at 5 months my first time. And I call her and I go, okay, something's going on. I'm crying again. I'm super stressed, but nothing is out of the ordinary. But I can feel inside that something isn't right. And she's like, you know what? Let's get your blood work done. And sure enough, it was time. It was like my body was reverting back to where it was.
Well, and what a amazing thing to actually be able to start to take control of your health in that way, where you can then start to understand the symptoms yourself, where you're going, okay, this is actually that, not just that, I'm really sad. There's a reason for this maybe.
And one of the biggest key factors for me is that I don't want to get out. I just want to sleep. That's all I want to do. And that is a red flag for me. And now there are times when you go, and you really just need a day to do nothing. That is very different from getting to a place that you don't want to be around anyone, right. You don't want to see anyone, you just want, to be in your pajamas. And that is really so far from my normal day living. But that's literally what would happen to me when my hormones are off balance. I don't want to be productive. I don't care. I may not return, an email because I'll get to it later, but it really is an internal thing. And now that I'm so in tune with my body and my hormones that I'm like, nope, time to go in. And it takes about 5 days or so. And then it's literally like you're completely back on the train.
And ideally, after the first insertion, we kind of watch to see how long they're lasting so that you never have to feel that way.
Yeah, now we're at 4 months, and, I texted her last week and I said, okay, I'm not sleeping. Is something up? And she's like, no, girl, you're good. And I'm like, okay, maybe it is just life. and sometimes it is life,
Sometimes it is.
But I cannot say enough about Jen and her Slender Me team about the hormone replacement. We have so much more to get into next week. We have so many aesthetics we get to talk about and all the feel-good treatments that you can get. And we'll even use Sam and I as kind of guinea pigs and tell you what to expect and all that good stuff. But thank you so much for joining us this morning and every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. If you have any questions or you want to talk to Samurai, you can give us a call at 1-800-419-7772. That's 1-800-419-7772. Stay tuned next week for part 2 with Jen and the Slender Me team. And we look forward to seeing everybody.
And remember, let love rule.